Hello and welcome to this pattern recognition video featuring the chess tactic of decoy and deflection. So basically you use the decoy or deflection tactic to move a piece onto a square or line or off of a square or line to give you some sort of advantage. So let's take a look at this first puzzle. I'll try and do 10 of these. Pause at any time if you need to think longer. And if you're not familiar with pattern recognition, you want to solve a set of puzzles multiple times to help you remember the tactics and the patterns and use them in your own games. All right, so what do we do? How can we decoy or deflect something? We have to be aware their queen can go here, delivering a check, maybe grabbing our knight. Okay, we want to look at checks first as they're the most forcing. So what checks do we have? Moving the queen there, it'll just be captured. So maybe we could sacrifice the rook. So if we go there, what does that do? And remember, when you check the king, there are 3 or less options: capture, block, or run from the checking piece. So if we go there, there's no way to block that, but the rook can be captured by the pawn or the king. And there's no way to run because of this knight, which is covering that square. So rook captures the pawn with check. If the pawn captures, well, then our queen can move to f7, and then we'll deliver a mate on the next move. So the king will probably be decoyed onto the h3 square. So if we do that, it decoys the king onto that square where we can check with the queen, and wherever the king goes, it will lead to a mate. So check, check. There's a block, we just capture, and we're still checking. If the king goes here, well, then our queen can go there and mate. If the king goes here, we go there with the queen checking. The king would have to move into the corner, and then we can deliver the mate here. And also, if the pawn tries to block, of course, we can capture that way and deliver mate backed up by the knight. All right, interesting pattern there. On to puzzle number 2. The rook has stepped forward, attacking our queen. And it looks like that queen is really trapped. Maybe it could go there, and I think that's the only spot. All right, what do we have, though? Let's see. Well, we could, if we look at checks, we have a knight that could go there. It would just be captured by the queen. We could go here. Queen or knight could capture, but at least it would be an even trade if we take that bishop. But what follow-up do we have after that? Oh, well, if we go there, the knight can't take, or we'll grab the rook. So the queen would have to take. And then we can't grab the knight because the bishop is still covering that. What do we do after that? I mean, if we take, their queen takes, we could move our other knight up and on the next move attack the queen. Well, not the next move because we have to save our own queen. So I don't know. I'm thinking that is probably the way to go. It's a forcing check move, and the only thing that can be done is for the queen to capture. Then we have to move here, which would pin the knight to the king. So what is the decoy or the deflection? If we, I mean, this decoys the king, or excuse me, the queen onto this square. Oh, okay. Maybe we do it the other way. We capture the knight, decoying the queen, onto this square. Then we fork the queen and the king. What do we get out of that, though? If we look at the material, we're ahead by a pawn. So I guess if we're ahead by a pawn, it's all right to exchange material. So I'm going to go with that. Then we have to take that. So I guess that's what they wanted. I mean, their rook will capture that knight, and then we end up ahead in that deal with the extra bishop, it looks like. All right, well, on to puzzle number 3. Bishop is just captured. What now? So black to move. What can we do? We have a bishop lined up on the rook if we move that pawn out of the way. We also have a queen lined up on the unprotected queen of theirs, so you always want to look for some tactics when you have a piece that's unprotected like this, especially a queen like that. So maybe we can decoy or deflect this queen away from the defense of this pawn. So maybe that would work. Pause at any time if you need to think longer. If not, I'm thinking maybe we go here. We're targeting the king, and the queen at the same time. So the queen would have to capture, deflecting the queen away. Then we could deliver a check there, forcing the queen to block that. So I think that's the way to go. Check. Oh, they don't want that. What? Oh, they can block with the bishop. Okay. Yeah, I overlooked that bishop. All right. Well, what else do we have? Well, that just threw a wrench in my plans there. What can I do now? I mean, we have this attack on the queen. If we can find the best place to move this bishop. Oh, maybe we go there first. And then we do that. Okay. I just didn't do the order correctly there. And that's a good thing to remember. When you're looking at moves in a tactic, sometimes if you think the move order goes one way, you might want to look at flipping the move order, and starting first with the other piece instead of moving that piece second, or something along those lines. All right, on to puzzle number 4. The king has stepped forward here. What is that accomplishing? I guess it's guarding the queen, which, if this knight has to move, we could have been lined up on their queen. Also, we're under attack, so... Oh, they were in check as well. I was wondering why they didn't just take the queen here. Okay, but now our queen is under attack, so how do we handle that? Maybe we can check. If the knight takes, Maybe we check again. But the king can still move and defend. Oh, maybe he can't because then we could... No, that doesn't work. I was thinking the bishop could move up here and attack, but then... Well, let's look at this. If we go there and the knight captures, then we check again here. If the king steps back here, we just take their queen. I mean, if they go here, we could check. The king just moves up. I don't know. There's got to be something where we go after this queen here. And I think we have to have checking moves because our queen is under attack and our bishop. So check, take, check with the other rook. The king has only 2 squares that will protect the queen. Oh, and then we can start attacking, checking with the... Or no, actually he only has 1 square. He has to come forward. Then we could move our rook up attacking again and then go after their queen. All right, so let's try it. There, check. Now we go here, decoying the king away from the defense of the queen. And we get to capture with a check. And we're ahead in material. We have time to save our bishop. You know, and if the king steps forward, we could even move our bishop here, breaking up the communication between the 2 rooks, which could help us. All right, and the king's kind of wide out in the open there. We can start harassing it with the queen all over the place. All right, on to puzzle number 5. We just had a capture. Now what? All right. If only we could just deliver a mate right here, but this queen is in the way. Oh, and we're under attack here as well. So that's not so good. If we look at checking moves first, if we go there, check, the queen can't capture, of course, or we'll deliver mate here. So check, the king goes into the corner. Then what? What do we have then? And we have our rook under attack over here. I mean, do we just capture? They capture, we capture, but then they grab this bishop. So I don't know. It's not looking so great. I mean, do we just take their queen? I mean, that's a nice forcing move. The only thing they can do is, well, they probably have to capture with that. If they do that, okay, so it looks like that's how we win. We just capture the queen, and then we're threatening this mate, and they have to deal with the check. So what do? They can't block that. They could run, but then we'll still have the mate. So I think that's what we have to do, and then we just end up with a checkmate. All right, well, on to puzzle number 6. The queen has stepped forward here. Now what? Does open up this check. And then the king has to run here. We could go there. He would have to block. And then if we try to fork, the queen would have to capture, and we could use our rook to decoy the king away from the defense of their queen and then grab their queen. So I think that works. Check. Check. Now we use our rook to decoy that king away and grab the queen. All right. Hope you did well on those so far. On to puzzle number 7. What do we have here? The king was in check. It moves forward. How do we keep up the attack? Well, we have pawns that could check, so we could go there or there. We do have our bishop preventing the king from coming forward along with this pawn. So, how do we get the win here? Okay, so if we deliver a check with this pawn, we see that the king can't move forward. The only square possible is to go here. And then I think we have a check, but they can block that. Then do we go there? Okay, so that's starting to get a little tricky. If we go there, check. The only thing the king can do is go there. Then what do? We check. They block. We add more pressure to that pinned bishop. But then what if they go there? They could block with their pawn. If they do that, that would allow us to swing over here and check. All right, well, to keep the video moving along, I think that's what I'm going to try. I should look and see if there's anything better. Should we try and swing over there and come down that way? Or there. We could go here or here. Maybe that's the way to go. If we swing over that way, then what? That might be the other choice. But we have to watch out because they have a possible check to start harassing us that way. So I'm going to go with this. All right, so that's what they wanted. Now, originally I'd planned to just go there with the queen and check. So if we go there and he blocks and we put more pressure on, okay, so that's what they want. Now What do we do next? We could check with the pawn. But if we do that, they're able to step back. Then we check. Is there anything better than that? All right. Well, this is interesting because now we can go there, deflecting the king or decoying the king away from the defense of the queen. All right, so that one was kind of interesting. On to puzzle number 8. So we have 3 more to do. The pawn is just pushed forward here. I guess that gives the king a little bit of an escape hatch. But I don't know. Now it looks like we could just capture there. Delivering a check, the king would have to go into the corner. And then it would be a mate if we could go here to f3, but the queen could capture that, so maybe we have to deflect the queen away from the defense of that square by pushing our rook here. All right, so I think that's what we have to do. So now we have to go there. And then that allowed us to have the mate with the queen and the bishop here. All right, 2 more to go. On to puzzle number 9. The king was in check. It drops back here, attacking the rook. So how do we handle this? Well, we could move our rook and just check here, and we'd be defended by the pawns. And then what? Mate on the next move. So if we go there, check, the king can't block or capture. If he goes there, we just mate, and I think that works both ways. So is it that simple? All right, so they put an easier one in there for you. On to puzzle number 10, the final problem. King has just captured, a pawn here. And it looks like as far as material, we're ahead by a pawn, but down by this bishop here. So we need to act in a hurry. Looks like an easy rook checkmate. I mean, we go there, the king has to move on to the A file, and then we just capture there with a mate. All right. Well, it ended with an easy one. Okay, as always, feel free to leave comments, especially if you have any requests for something you want to see in the future. Feel free to check out any of the other playlists on my channel that have other tactics that might be interesting or helpful to you. Also, like and subscribe to support the channel if you haven't already. Thank you for watching and have a super chess day.